Hello and welcome to Straight from the Training Ground, Episode 1. I'm Jason, joined along here with Ryan Wall. Just since it is our first episode, quick little background on why we're here and what we're hoping to do. We want to make some connections and just give a nice platform to everyone about the beautiful game, what's going on in your neck of the woods. We want to talk a lot about youth soccer in our country, club soccer, youth soccer, high school, things in different regions, different parts of the country that might be affecting you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can see down below. Follow us on Twitter. We'd love to make some connections with everyone. Leave us some comments. Also, you could hit us up on our YouTube channel and make some connections that way as well. We'll have a guest interview every episode, maybe some high school coaches, club coaches, college coaches, you name it. So with that, as you can see, my partner in crime there is with me, Ryan Wall. He is the GM, founder, coach, kit man, you name it, for West Virginia Highlanders. Glad to have you, Ryan. Let's go.
Yeah, welcome. Appreciate being here.
Tell us a little bit about the Highlanders real quick.
Yeah, so West Virginia Highlanders, we're actually a new club set up in Wheeling, West Virginia. We set it up about a year ago, mainly to enter an adult team in the new Ohio Valley Premier League, OVPL, regional league. We saw an opportunity there. A lot of college players, a lot of good quality high school players don't really get the chance to play in the summer, a lot of time off there. So we thought we'd enter a team. We also use this team as a great opportunity to get 16, 17-year-olds, quality high school players training 3 or 4 times a week with quality college players. So to bridge that gap, there's always been a gap between the high school age group. It's such a big jump to college. So we wanted to bridge that. And we also wanted to have something which was affordable and accessible. So there was a team in town in a place like Wheeling, a lot of small towns. You have to go to the bigger city to get a team to play for. So we wanted to have that here in this area, which covers the whole kind of Ohio Valley area in terms of Wheeling, all the way to Steubenville, all the way down to, maybe Morgantown. So that's what we are. We're about a year old. We're coming up for our second adult men's season. We also have a U18 team with the Highlanders, and we're excited about that too.
Nice, and they'll be playing in the fall or this spring. Is that correct?
Yeah, U18s they've been going already. We've been going ever since the end of the high school season in end of November. We've been going to a number of tournaments. We'll have some tournaments coming up. I think we're going to Penn Fusion tournament at the end of February, but we go all the way through and basically just follow the regular club soccer calendar all the way through to the end of May, beginning of June.
To it, our first topic today, being our first episode, we just want to talk about a little bit of a background on youth soccer in the U.S., just for viewers out there. Myself, I grew up, played my whole life, played at the college level, played in high school, all that stuff, and coached now for about 20 years, mainly girls, but coach high school, coach club, and you've done the same, obviously. So we've been around for a while. So
Long while.
So tell us a little bit of your own opinions here, your thoughts on the U.S. youth soccer scene.
I think one of the big things that you and I see is both on the club side. There's a lot more quality involved. There's a lot more quality players coming out of the system. But at the same time, the costs to play in that system are really high. And that's I know personally, it's one of my biggest issues. Any other country in the world, if you're a quality player, you get the opportunities to play without breaking the bank to do so. It's either low cost or no cost. But unfortunately, here in the U.S., the better you are as a youth player, the more you're likely going to pay to play the game. And that's one of my issues. I know you probably feel the same.
Right. Yeah. We're both kind of in the similar region geographically, but we're located in different states and different kind of communities now. And, from where I've grown up and in the region I'm in now, club soccer, there's a lot more, like you said, there's a lot more opportunities in the last 10, 15 years, a lot more clubs for various levels of whatever you want to call it, financial commitment, geographical, travel commitment, those kind of things. The levels of play you could participate in, which is a good thing because, 15, 20 years ago, there was not nearly that much. And I'm sure in your area as well. But along with that, there's there is the pay to play thing and the fees. Definitely an issue.
How I see it happen, and you probably, good thing about us being a little bit older in the tooth is that we've seen it before the system now. And the issue is, where there was a vacuum, there wasn't a soccer community in the US, a nationwide soccer community. There was a vacuum. And into that vacuum, which never existed in any of the other countries that, soccer, football was the main sport, jumped in coaches that started charging for what they do. Now, and where you go to the UK or South America or even Southern Europe or something like that, people would do that because they love coaching and they love being part of a team and they love doing it. It's a hobby for them. But here we monetized it. We let coaches come into the system and started saying, okay, I'll coach your kid and I'll pay. And you also had a parent group population that wanted the kid to play soccer. So they were willing to pay for it. Well, that's just escalated. And the youth soccer system in this country has become monetized. In all the other countries that we, as a U.S. soccer aspires to be as good as, the youth soccer system is not monetized. That's all. The only monetized part of their soccer hierarchy is semi-professional or professional. Everything in the youth and amateur is not monetized. In other words, they don't pay an arm and a leg. They pay a little bit of money here or there just to help support costs. Not like we have here. And that's a key issue because it cascades into the pro scene. It cascades into how many kids are in the system. There's cascades into how many kids actually are produced at the top end. So if we want a better national team, the problem is, in my opinion, you can have your opinion. My opinion is it's right here at youth level. It's not accessible enough.
The game continues to grow in our country. It's more accessible than ever. On TV, games every day on different networks and streaming things for kids to watch growing up. Social media has obviously helped that a lot. And there's a lot more access to club soccer and different levels in a lot more regions than ever used to be. It used to just be, a major city or a suburb, and that was about your only option. So there's a lot of those things coming along.
Well, we remember a time when the only game you saw on television was a satellite channel showing a Mexican league.
Yeah.
Game.
Oh, yeah.
When you sit down and you just be transfixed. But here's on every channel. So now that's progress, right?
We're delighted here on our first episode to have Brandon Ponchak join us. Brandon is co-founder of the OVPL. Brandon, glad to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to it.
So my first question for you, Brandon, is tell everyone a little bit about what drove you or inspired you to start the OVPL.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's one I've been thinking about for a while, and it's multifaceted, really. I got my college coaching start in South Dakota back in 2009, and everybody knows South Dakota is a real hotbed, right, for a lot of things. But the biggest thing that caught my eye out there when I was there was they have adult baseball, that every town has an adult baseball team. And it is just incredible to see and to understand how it exists. And the funny thing about it, that as it was going on, high school baseball wasn't even sanctioned by the state, but they had adult baseball. So that just got me thinking, how does this not exist in soccer? And see, in 2000, I was 24, kind of just a little bit out of college. I didn't really know tons about it and what existed. And so I did some digging and kind of just exploring what existed. Of course, I was young and I still wanted to play a little bit. Now, I knew I was never going to be a high level player, but I enjoyed coaching. So just carry that from 2009 on to 2017. When I kind of got out of college coaching, I started working in USL League 2, which was the PDL at the time. And a friend of mine, Jason Brown, who is actually the other co-founder, he had a team that was in a different league based out of Indianapolis. And every game, like, he would text me, he's like, I think we're going to fold. The league's going to fold. I think, he said, I'm going to these games and I don't even think they're going to call me. We're a half hour away and I think they're going to call me and cancel. Because it was it was so broken, like it just didn't make any sense. And while that was going on, our USL League 2 team just kept getting massive numbers of players that want to play. And I think over the course of 2, 3, 4 years, our player pool went to 1,000 inquiries.
Wow.
And that's probably not including some of the ones that I kind of just disregarded because we weren't in no way, shape, or form of providing visas or work permits or anything like that as well. So it just got me thinking, like, we can do more. And I think we have people that can do more. So how can I help do more? And that's really what started it. So it's just like, hey, let's figure out a way we can get a league sanctioned, and we want to provide a place for players to play. We want to provide a place for communities to have a team. You know, I've been to Sweden, I've been to Northern Ireland, and the Republic as well. And, you know, obviously I have numerous friends from different countries as well. And one of the things that always strikes me as something amazing is everybody has their local team, a senior team that they like to support. They might have a bigger team that they support as well, but everybody has that team around the corner. And I feel like we should have that as well. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, where you live, that you should have a place to continue to play. And through the research too, you know, kind of found out that there's thousands, and just in these 3 states that we originally started in, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, there's like 8,000 plus players, maybe 10,000 players a year that graduate high school soccer with no place to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
It shouldn't be that way. We want more than that. We want every community to be able to have a team. If there's a group of people, whoever that group of people is, you should be able to have your own team. And that's kind of one of the big pictures of what the Ohio Valley Premier League is.
It's just a big lack of senior soccer in terms of within the US, and I think that's what I see. What the Ohio Valley Premier League right now is really filling that void. You hit the nail on the head there, and I'm fantastic. I think it's really great.
I've seen from Ryan's team and from what I've heard in his area for the community, you know, smaller communities that don't have an MLS team, they don't have a major soccer market, something to get behind in the summer, go watch a good level of play, and it's just something to kind of bring your local community together.
Tell us a little bit about more detail about the OVPL in terms of how many teams, how it's set up, and then what kind of which teams are around, which cities, in the kind of geography.
Yeah. So originally we knew what it took to get started, and that was 4 teams essentially to get a true recognized league started. Once we had our 4 teams back in 2019, I think it was, 18, one of those years. Everything kind of runs together these days, right? We got those teams, and we said, hey, let's go public with it, and we'll see what we can get. So we started with 4 teams. And now we're up to 4 men's teams, I should say. Now we're up to 24 men's teams. 26 men's teams, actually, now that we got 2 more in, and 10 women's teams. So that, and we also started in just Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And now we've expanded into West Virginia and Pennsylvania as well. Our league is sanctioned as a U23 adult amateur league. It's kind of wide open, honestly, and I'm in favor of that, but I also don't want it to become an over 40 league where the level kind of drops.
Right.
I'm not suiting up, one of those things. we're going to keep it for players who are going to keep playing.
So which cities, Brandon?
So we range from Evansville, Indiana, to Lexington, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Wheeling right now. And a variety in each kind of one of those cities, and even sometimes in between them, wherever that might be. Obviously, we have some other areas where we're kind of targeting and trying to grow there as well. We have a little void in Northwest Ohio where there's some good soccer, a lot of teams, a lot of kids playing, and there's several universities as well up there that have players that can continue playing. Well, the other thing, and it kind of went back to the initial question of why it started, and it has kind of continued to come to fruition, I guess. With that USL2 team, I realized that we weren't getting enough local talent to some extent, and part of that was I felt like that the kids needed pushed earlier. Everybody's so used to, if you're U16, you can only play U16. If
Right.
you're a freshman in high school, you gotta buy your time, and you gotta cut your teeth, and you gotta go freshman team, JVB team, JVA team, and then you might be able to get varsity by your junior or senior year. And no, like for us, if you have a team and you're old enough, you're good enough. And 16 is our age because that's just what insurance permits. I'd
No, I
love
mean
I'd
that's
love to get more.
fantastic. And I want to jump in and say that's a big thing I see from the one of the big items I see from the league is that when you're 16, 17 and you're in any of these other countries and you've got ability, you're probably playing with 19, 20, 21 year olds. But we're so much on an age basis system here that it doesn't allow for it. And so, as you said, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and you get the chance to I get the chance as running our team to get 16, 17-year-olds training on a regular basis with 21, 22-year-olds. What better development can you bring to the table for that? So it's a great opportunity.
And it doesn't happen anywhere else in the U.S. outside of the professional teams, right?
Second question for you. Where do you see the OVPL in 5 to 10 years' time?
That's a great question because I mean that's one that you kind of sit and chew on every so often, and it might change here or there. Every month it might change. The number one thing I want it to be in 5 to 10 years is sustainable. I want teams to continue to exist. I hate when teams drop out for a variety of reasons. Because what that ends up meaning is that means a community lost a team. That means a coach lost an opportunity to coach. But more than anything, it means players lost the ability to play. And I don't like that. I mean, we had in our first real full year at 21 of operations, we had 1,000+ players come through the league. Without us, those 1,000 players would not have had the opportunity to play competitively in the realm that it's in. I guess one of the big things with the 5 to 10 year plan is we want the clubs to have complete buy-in and say as well. So the direction is not necessarily driven by Jason and I. We're kind of help guide and maybe put plant little seeds here or there, but we also want to hear from the club members. Everybody within the league is a member of a board within the league, and everybody has voting rights, and we're not dictators. Everybody has their ear on the ground, and they're working in the game in their own areas. We want to do what's best for those areas, but we also want to do what's best for the whole region as well. So if we can all work together, and so far it's been incredible. We have great people involved. So the more good people we have coming involved, the better it's going to be. So I would love for it to continue to grow, and I don't know what a number would be in that realm, but
sure.
Growth without sustainability is not something that I want either. I want teams to continue to survive, and continuity is good.
Yeah, I was going to say some consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fantastic. We have 2 questions. We have a tradition on our show for the interview guest, even though it's episode number 1. It's a quick tradition. But number 1, who's your favorite, the big team you support?
Now, this where is one I should have.
Your biggest team, your Crew supporter?
I've been a Columbus Crew fan since day one. Yeah.
Okay. But, any other European team or other country?
Yeah. When I first got TV, when I was in high school, real TV, right? When I first got real TV in high school, the first team I got to watch was Manchester United. So I've been a Manchester United fan since that day.
Second question, worst kit you have ever worn while playing?
Ooh, where I grew up in the soccer desert of southeastern Ohio, the only
they were all bad.
Yeah, the only kit we really ever had was a T-shirt. From 5, 6 years old, whenever I started playing up until I got into high school, all I had was a T-shirt. That's it.
Yeah,
and whatever shorts I could come across. But I was pretty OCD, so I made sure my socks matched my shirt. So
there you go.
Whatever that was, yeah. But it was a T-shirt, and nobody likes playing in just T-shirts.
I really appreciate everything you're doing. I know Ryan has a strong connection with you through the OVPL, but we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today on our first episode. Really, like I said, love what you're doing with the OVPL and promoting the beautiful game, and that's really what we're all about. Ryan and I, want to talk to you because That's kind of what we want this show to be about is local soccer, things that people can relate to in their communities, different age levels, whatever it may be. But keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. Love the idea. I'm following from day one, so I'm excited to keep tabs on the show.
Oh, you got one.
You can be a regular contributor too. So
let's do it.
That's what you wish for.
So let's move on to the second topic here real quick. Our second topic, Ryan. Along those lines with youth soccer, if you could make a list, or if you had the power at your hands, what would be a couple of things that you think you would love to change, and what are a couple of things that you think are positives that are going well nowadays on the youth soccer scene? Not necessarily at the national level or anything like that, but just in general, rec league, club, high school, whatever.
I think some of the challenges is kind of also universal challenges. We don't have enough referees. I'll put that out there. I mean, as a coach, it's usually not something coaches complain about or worried about, but it is a concern because it's dwindling, the number of people getting into refereeing. I'll leave that to one side. We can discuss that later.
Absolutely, yeah.
Controversial. I think some of the we talked about the pay-to-play issue. We can get onto that later. I don't want to go on that. I do think on the youth side, there are, as you said, a lot more clubs popping up, and we have a lot more quality in those clubs. The coaching is pretty good. That is something that, as you said, years ago, it wasn't available. It's available now. We have, all the different leagues. I think it's interesting what's going on. And I'm maybe getting off topic here, so I apologize. But it's interesting getting on the differences now between U.S. club soccer and U.S. youth soccer. It feels like U.S. club soccer might be a little bit more dynamic in terms of being innovative in some of the programming it has. It's more accessible in terms of I know when you apply to be a team under U.S. youth soccer under a state association, it can be real tricky. They have to have a lot of boxes checked.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if I've got a team, if I've got a quality outfit of guys, as long as I pay a deposit, I should be able to enter a league. I should be able to enter a cup. But a lot of associations don't like that because obviously that doesn't generate the revenue they're looking to generate now. Is that what you should be around for if you're an association? I don't know. But if you're a club, you should always be able to put a team in and enter it, even if you're there for a year and you can see out your year and you fulfill your obligations. So for me, that's one of the positives. I think so. A lot more clubs popping up in this regard, and they're entering U.S. club soccer seems to be accessible on the youth side. And also, we get into this later on the adult amateur side. I know even regionally, the OVPL league that we're in has partnered with U.S. club soccer. So I think that's a real positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The OVPL, and I know, your team, a few of the games last year, I think you know more about it than I do, but continuing to see some new teams pop up here and there and participate at that level. And then, as you said, the trickle-down effect, I would call it, from the adult team to now in your area, spawning a U18 team kind of under the same umbrella, I would think can only be a good thing, for your community, for your area, to give kids an opportunity to become a part of that. For me, I would say, I thought it was a great point when you brought up the referees. I know as a high school coach and a club coach myself, we're constantly getting bombarded, with emails and things at meetings about getting more younger people to participate. And it really is a major problem in our country because it's becoming more and more popular, I think, every day for kids to play, and club teams popping up everywhere, and high school teams and games. But there's really a lack of referees, and there's just a lack of, I think, it's definitely
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's a good question because I know, I don't want to get into the specific details maybe, but I know that they make a good amount of money. And I know that, I know that in the last year or two, whether it's through COVID, things being online, whatever, they've made the certification process, at least from my perspective. And again, I've never went through the referee certification thing, but they've made it more accessible than ever. I think, they're definitely trying to get kids to participate and make it easier to check those boxes to be able to be eligible to referee. And I know that, in club where I'm, in my area, they've raised the pay. I mean, is very desirable. I've told my own kids, to get involved with that because it's a better paying gig than a fast food job. for high school kids and college kids, who, if you're a high school or college kid, I would think, you get certified and if you love soccer, you go out and you do a tournament, as you and I know, go somewhere for the weekend and do 6-7 games on a Saturday and a Sunday and come away with a pretty good pay, I think, for, a teenager. Yeah. But it's just difficult, really difficult.
No, I think you make some good points. It is really a good way to earn money. Just as a side gig, it's a really good thing, which is positive because the more people we get involved in it, the better. I think the two challenges are, and you mentioned it, is the certification process. A lot of these referees need to be certified through some referee associations or programs that are a little bit stodgy. Is that a real word? Can I use that word?
Right.
A little bit tricky.
It is now.
It is now. A little bit tricky to get registered in. Maybe there's an old guard dealing with those organizations. Well, those people need to recognize that you've got to fast track the referee certification process.
Yeah.
Second thing is that, and the elephant in the room is, referees get so much hassle from, super duper coaches on a regular basis that it's just out of control. And that needs to, and we get, not a lot of that's environmental. You see it on the TV, you think it's a norm. It's a tough gig. And I know, and you've coached and I've coached, I think out of 100 games that I've lost over the years, believe it or not, there's 100. But 100 games I've lost over the years.
I thought you were talking percentages.
Yeah, well, let's say percentages. That sounds better, right? I think one out of those 100 would maybe down to a referee call that didn't go our way. So it's just it's out of control in the environmental aspect of it. What's going on in the environment of soccer. The referees need to be supported. I'll put that statement, make that there.
No, that's absolutely true. In any sport, you go to it doesn't matter. A high school soccer game, a club soccer game, a baseball game, a softball game, basketball, you name it. It's kind of a two-way thing. People complain that we can't get, people to participate in referee, but on the other hand, the people that referee will be the first to tell you that, you come out here and do it, and a lot of the grief and the stress that they take for doing it, a lot of times runs people off. So, just my own 2 cents real quick is, I think the more and more younger people we can get involved and the current status of the game in our country now, there's so many more kids now who have grown up around it, watching on TV, at high levels, playing it. They have a really solid background in it. And I just encourage anyone that's a younger, person to get involved, because I feel like the more that we can get those people involved, the more it will help that overall pool. And it is tough. And, there's some stress that comes along with it. But I think if those people have a better background in the game, they've grown up around it, they've played, and they just do a decent job, and keep plugging away, that's really what we need, because, there's every year it gets worse and worse in terms of just shortages. So every episode we want to give a shout out to a team, any level, just to make some connections out there and give them some airtime here on our channel. So before I get into your team, the West Virginia Highlanders, my shout out is to the Cincinnati, Wyoming boys team and Coach Jones. I had the privilege of watching them play in the state Final Four here in Ohio this year. And then they went on to win the state championship, and they have a great culture there. So I felt privileged to be able to watch them play in person. Very good program and coaching staff. So shout out to Cincinnati, Wyoming boys. Congratulations on a great season. Ryan, tell us a little bit about, before we wrap things up here, the Highlanders program, and we'll call it a day.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep. There's a badge. Yeah, just real shamelessly, a shout out to club here. We have our tryouts coming up for our U23 adult team that we're in the OVPL regional league, which is a great league, stretches from Pittsburgh all the way down to, I would say, Indiana region, Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, all covered in there. Last season, we had a great inaugural season in the league. We came second in our conference out of 10 teams. For our club, it's great because we're trying to bring this to the community through the summer in the community of our Wheeling, West Virginia, an adult men's team, which is of high quality. We pull a lot of quality college kids into our team, and we also bring up some of the top high school kids in the area. So even before their college age, they're getting to play at a high level with college kids and get tested through training sessions too. So it's just something that in the current, we didn't touch on this, but in the current US club model is very much age group specific. But I remember back over the pond growing up, I'd always be playing with guys 1 or 2 years older. And then when I hit 16, 17, I was playing with adults in their 20s. So I just think there's a great thing that can be taken from that. And as I said, our tryouts are coming up. It's only almost February. So our season will begin in May and it goes all the way through July. So shout out to the...
Follow us on our YouTube channel. And again, leave us some comments, make some connections. We'll see you then.